Okay. Why do you make art?
Now, there's a big question. I feel compelled to make art, and a big part of the research that I've done more recently is about exactly that question: why do people make art? So I obviously apply that to myself as well. And I looked a lot at this theory of transitional phenomenon. So as a child, you take a toy or a comfort blanket or something, and it's a way of getting between that phase of this is me and this is not me. And there's a whole theory which I've written a couple of essays about, that as an adult you need an area which is not in this world. And for some people it can be religion, and for some people it can be science. I think for me it probably largely applies art. So it's kind of a place to go where you're not being questioned by the outside world. Arguably, you're not questioning yourself, you are just making. And in that space, according to this theory, you find a relief from the possibility of insanity, where if you're just constantly bombarded by the world or by your own thoughts. So yeah, at the simple level, I make it because I feel really great when I am making, and at a more complex level, I think it's probably a necessary part of surviving as a person, really.
What does it mean to be an artist?
I think it's about stepping back from the world. Being an artist allows you to step back, I think, and take a different view and see things differently. And I recognise I've always felt that I have seen things differently to other people, and that kind of confused me, but now I think it's valuable, and I think making something with those thoughts is a really good way to use that.
What ideas, interests or concepts inspire your work?
I'm very interested in why people make, and I have read quite a lot of Donald Winnicott. Anyway, this idea of why we make is really important to me, and also what interests me is the way we do it, and so looking at the way people organise their practice I think is very interesting. How we reflect on what we make is something that I've looked into, and as part of the degree I did look at how artists make, and met with some of the visiting artists and asked them about not about their finished work, which I'm sort of less interested in, and I'm more interested in how they arrive at what they've made, what's their process. I find that really interesting. At a sort of practical level, I really enjoy etching, and again that's kind of interesting because that's a very methodical process that you follow to do that. And on the other hand, I love making large, messy, sculptural, last-minute work, addressing something that just comes up, and very sort of guttural, very much reacting to how I feel. So that it interests me about my own art, this dichotomy between the two, the very rigid print process type work, and then the very messy throwing it together, responding to something that's happened in my life and just making something from it. So that, yeah, those two areas, the precise area and the more emotive area, I suppose, that interests me. Donald Winnicott was a paediatrician, and he looked at children having a comfort blanket or a toy or whatever, and in his theory he proposes that when a child is born and they think they are the whole world, so when they get breastfed they think they've made that happen, they want milk, the milk comes. And as time goes on, inevitably they're going to be very disappointed, because there comes a point when they realise they are not the whole world, and when they want something it doesn't always come. So they have this difficulty of the psyche, really, of coming to terms with what he calls me and not me. He also explores how when we're an adult we still need a place to go where we're not grappling between that those two places of this is me and this is not me, because when it's not me, it's either someone else's command or something else happens in the world. That can be very uncomfortable, but we have to learn to work with that. And then when we're just being me, it's all about what we want. And sometimes that can be uncomfortable as well. What you make, actually, it doesn't matter. The important thing is that you enter into that space for enough time to get some respite from trying to work between me and not me, as he calls it.
What materials do you especially like working with?
On the sculptural side, I've really enjoyed working with plaster and cement. So messy, gloopy things that have the possibility to set. And the thing that I've found interesting working with those is that I think the whole the basis of my work, if I was asked to say what it was about, I would say it's about identity, but identity stroke our humanity. So looking at how different people sort of wear their humanity. And so with the messy materials and the sculptural materials, they always, to me, come back to representing sort of parts of the body. So large blobs of cement become feet that are unable to move around because they're so heavy. So sort of using those materials to emulate our own human condition, I suppose. Whereas with the etching, that's always tied in a lot to me with memory and images and images changing. And with both of them, the etchings and the sculptural or videos, the other thing that I have worked with, which I haven't mentioned so far, but all of them kind of tie in with ways to observe who we are. And some of that comes from memory, and some of it comes from things that we do today. And I think the two of them are much more connected than we think. And this idea that memories can become an alternative to living now, so that there's not a clear line between that's a memory and that was in the past. Mark Hulson said that thing that I found interesting about memories, and he said he didn't see memories and the imagination as being different. Somebody bought an etching that I did that was about something very personal and a really, really difficult time in my life, which happened at the end of the degree. And I chose to carry on with the project that I was making, but as an aside, to address this sort of devastation that I was feeling, I made these etchings. And it was quite interesting to me that somebody bought one of those. That was really interesting to me, the idea that I could make something that didn't mention verbally what it was about, and someone else could pick up on that who perhaps was going through the same thing. Yeah. And that to me is where I'd like to get to. I'd like to be able to make things that are expressing something in me, and it be a comfort to someone else.
What does your art practice say about you?
I think the things that I've made, some of them show my very serious side, very analytical, deep thinker side, and some of them show a sort of having a laugh at the world kind of side, like the sculpture that I made all out of cake and blancmange and jelly. I'd had a very difficult time with somebody in my boyfriend's world, and I'd had a very awkward text sense, so I made the text into a sculpture, and I made it out of fun party things, and then everyone ate it. And that's an amazing power of art, to change a memory from something really heavy into something really funny.
What's your definition of success?
A successful person is a happy person, and I think it follows the other way around. So when I look at someone who's really at one with what they're doing and really happy with what they're doing, that's success. And I see it in dog breeders that I know. I see it in artists. I see it in business people. So, being successful is finding and doing the thing that makes you smile.